Brian wanted to go back and land one good punch on Gabriel's smirking face before he got over the other man's impudence. How dare he ask Madison out? He followed her back to the sitting room away from the kitchen area.
I don't even need mind reading abilities to know what you're thinking.
Madison said with a soft smile. He liked it when she smiled. He was inappropriate. Brian shrugged.
He's harmless, but I will admit to happiness to see the smirk gone from his face.
Brian considered his actions as not only the right thing to do but productive. He'd never desired for attention before the way he wanted hers. He wanted to be the center of her world. When another woman would have looked at him with desire in her eyes, it would have made him nervous and he'd have given them a gentle change of thought. With Madison, though, his heart would explode in his chest if she looked at him way. He wanted her to want him. "I can go back and hit him for you," he offered. She rewarded him with a laugh, and it warmed the deepest caverns of his heart. He would work hard for her next laugh, and everyone thereafter.
No, though I appreciate the offer. I guess I'd better actually call my mother, who may or may not be a demon from hell.
She said. A dark force entered the house. His entire body erupted in dread with a loss of light that weighed on him like a ton of bricks. He wondered if he'd ever feel good again. Without any thought of his own protection, he grabbed Madison by the arm and maneuvered in front of her, and prepared for whatever may have entered her home. Though he heard no sound, he knew that a presence entered the establishment.
Madison, darling, who is this handsome beast?
Just then the front door slammed, and a soaked Kennedy stomped back in.
Hi, Aunt Vives.
Kennedy said.
Hello, Mother.
Madison said at the same time. The black aura surrounding the woman who appeared in the same room as them could only come from the darkest depths of hell. He wondered how Uriel wound up fathering a child with someone who sucked the very light from within him.
I can tell by your scent that you're a wing boy. Do move away so I may hug my daughter properly. I haven't seen her in a while, you know.
The spawn of hell said. Brian didn't budge. He didn't trust her, and he wouldn't let her do anything that to cause Madison harm.
I said move.
She said with a glint in her eye. Madison tried to move out from behind him, but he blocked her path. He could tell that it annoyed her by the sound she made, but he wouldn't allow her further duress. With an exaggerated sigh, Madison's mother flicked her fingers in his direction and flames exploded from the tips of her fingertips and flew at him. He stood firm, protected Madison from the flames. The same blue aura that protected him from Uriel's sword protected him from her flames.
Oh, interesting, Uriel.
She bellowed.
Maddie, darling, you must know that I'm not here to harm you.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Madison muttered as she broke free from Brian's shield and walked over to her mother. Brian narrowed his eyes and watched for any sign of ill intent. Her mother looked like a suburban socialite with a deep red suit and a matching hat. Her red gloves that seemed to fit her but would have looked ridiculous on anyone else. He wondered how she stayed erect on the bright red high-heeled shoes that reminded him of walking on ice picks. Her face bore no signs of age, not a mark or a wrinkle. There could be no question as to where Madison got her looks from. Though they didn't look alike, they shared similar characteristics.
You are my mother, right?
Madison asked.
Oh, Madison, you are far too serious. Of course, I'm your mother. Come, let us find your father and we'll clear up any questions you have.
The woman would not be taking Madison out of his sight. He stepped up so that he made his presence felt.
The ape can come too.
Madison grinned at him, despite the awkward moment, and said,
That's the second time today you've been called an ape, and I've only been awake about a half an hour.
Uriel arrived a moment later, flanked by his angel brethren.
Vivian.
Uriel said by way of greeting. Vivian felt no such formality. She walked over to him and slipped her arms around Uriel's neck and kissed him with a depth that made Brian flash back to the brief kiss he'd shared with Madison. When the two finally separated, Kennedy made a grand gesture of fanning herself.
And to think I thought you were the coldest fish alive.
she said to her aunt.
Can we end this ghastly separation now that she knows?
Madison's mother said as she gazed into Uriel's eyes.
I still don't think the world is ready to accept a union such as ours, but I can no longer pretend that I don't miss you with every waking breath.
Uriel said.
This is disturbing, so who is my father? Radcliffe, not Andrew.
Madison asked.
Oh, that fumbling boob. I hired him to be your father because statistics show that human children need both a mother and a father. I could have taken you to hell for all the therapy bills it cost to raise you.
I didn't go to therapy.
Madison said in confusion.
Not for you, for me. You were the weirdest thing, a child of light and dark. Insane dreams that manifest reality, so self-contained you didn't need anyone. I never even got to throw you a coming-out party.
Am I human?
Madison asked. Brian knew the answer to the question would be a deciding factor in how Madison handled the information she learned thus far. They'd taken away most of her identity and could potentially take away the very species she recognized herself as.
Biologically, no. Metaphysically, you are half angel, half demon, as I am the princess of the seventh circle of hell called Sanctuary. The reality of it is this: you are what you are.
Madison's mother said. Brian's heart ached as he watched Madison absorb her mother's statements. He could tell by the look on her face that she'd reached her threshold of changes in her life. Any further information would be painful. She needed a break. Not normally one to be high-handed, he scooped up Madison in his arms, brought her body close to his chest, and turned toward her parents. Taking her out, we'll return later. He glanced down at the small women. Hungry.
Starved.
He took that as having her approval to accost her from her home and leave the chaos and abnormalities behind. He carried her clear through the front door and placed her in his truck. After he got in the driver's seat, he looked over and said, "Where to?"
I would have been all right in there. I can handle myself.
"They aren't going to cause you any further duress while I'm around. They can wait with their genetic bombshells until after you've had a hot meal, a full cup of coffee, and some time to process." Her expression told him he made the right decision. Her mind didn't accept things just because someone said them. She needed to reach the conclusions on her own, with her own thought processes.
There's a small deli near the gym. I know the owner. Let's go there.
Isley S. It was Brian's favorite place to eat.
You know it.
Yes, Mr. Isley is one of the first people I met here. He taught me how to bake bread. They drove in relative silence. He wanted to give her time to hold her own counsel and prayed he wouldn't come across as an overbearing ass in her eyes. He refused to read her thoughts, though for the first time in ages he'd been tempted. They arrived at the deli and were met by Mr. Isley himself. The round, grandfather of 12, greeted them as if they were members of his family. He hugged Madison close and told her how beautiful she looked. He shook Brian's hand and then pulled him in for a hug as well.
I hoped you two would arrive at the same time to meet. Here you are arriving together. Good, good. Come, you both look hungry. That is what's wrong with families today. They don't feed their children.
They were ushered to the small dining area off to the side of the kitchen, where Mr. Isley and his wife Jeanette baked fresh bread every morning. The smell of it wavered through the air and made Brian's mouth water. "Thank you, Mr. Isley," Brian said.
Food will be coming. I'll have Jeanette bring around some of the fake tar you like to drink, Madison.
He said.
Thank you.
Madison replied with a smile. True to his word, within moments they had piping hot drinks and a warm breakfast with fresh-baked bread and sweet honey butter. The one thing humans had, angels didn't, was a phenomenal array of good-tasting food. The first time I came here, I licked the dish of honey butter clean. He could remember the horror on Jeanette's face.
Disgusting.
Madison grimaced. I think I ate everything they made, went right down the menu in 2 days. I got so sick, and then they nursed me back to health and taught me about moderation.
Did they know you know?
She asked. I never asked, and neither did they. Some people just accept others. They'll take them just as they are without question.
Are you like that?
She asked. What a loaded question. I have the advantage of knowing the good from the bad, but even the bad deserve a chance to redeem themselves.
Why did you get thrown out of heaven?
Brian knew the question would come, and a part of him was pleased she was curious enough to ask. My ward was a little girl with an alcoholic father. He'd fly off into drunken rages and get into fights with anyone that was around. One night her name got written in the book of names with the day of her death.
Oh, how awful. Please tell me her father didn't kill her.
I saw her name and went to her. It was my job to protect her. He'd already hurt her. Her little body was battered and bruised. I knew that if he killed her, he'd be as lost as she would be. I made the decision to intervene. I used my abilities to sober him up and calm his rage.
You saved both their lives.
When he held his little girl in his arms, he broke down. He reached out for God and found the light within him. He now shares his story with others and is a fierce advocate of Alcoholics Anonymous. Brian began eating and wondered what she thought of him going against God. He didn't have to wait long for her response.
So you were just supposed to what? Sit back and let some drunken fool beat the hell out of his child until she died.
The outrage in her voice healed the rift in his heart. Finally, someone understood his actions that day. The day he'd been cast out of the heavens and away from the beauty of life with God. Other guardians allow their wards to die because it is God's plan. He said.
Other guardians ought to be fired for incompetence.
Her quick response ripped a laugh from his gut that shook his entire body. To make light of something that he'd spent the last 5 years torturing himself over made him feel alive.
So you got shafted for doing your job. What's with the God Squad?
Madison asked, using Kennedy's term for the angels. She broke off a chunk of the bread and dipped it in the butter before biting into it. Apparently, they are all angels who made decisions similar to mine, and were sent here to protect humans from bad guys and creatures of hell.
I guess Uriel forgot that part of his job description, as apparently my mother is a creature from hell.
Brian thought carefully before he responded. He gave up the woman he loved to protect his daughter. He disguised himself as a person she wouldn't be threatened by so he could protect her from her dreams, as well as perform his tasks to keep the humans safe. I'd say he did his job well.
Too brute, I know, he's a wonderful person, but he lied to me. They all lied to me. My entire life was built on one lie after the next. Even now, they still never said why. Why was it so important that they live apart? Why did I have to grow up alone with no real connections to family?
I don't know much about heaven-hell relations, but I imagine a child born of both must possess some pretty awesome abilities that could be harnessed by the wrong people.
Fine, I accept. When I was a child, I probably needed to be fiercely protected. I'm an adult now. I've been an adult for years. Why not level the playing field then?
Brian had no answer, and he agreed someone should have told her before her life erupted into chaos. She deserved to know who she should watch out for at least.
I believe I can answer that, dear,
Said Mr. Isley, who pointed a sinister-looking gun at Brian, while Jeanette had snuck up behind Madison. They'd been so involved in their conversation that they'd all but forgotten about the two shop owners.
Mr. Isley, what are you doing?
Madison asked, with a startled look upon her face.
Do forgive me, Maddie, but I had to be certain it was you. Seeing you here with a marked angel confirms it. You are the gatekeeper Lord Mastermer is searching for.
Brian knew he had no choice but to get Madison out of the shop. Though he didn't have Uriel's sword or Michael's power, he did have years of training, and he prayed that the blue shield that protected him from both Uriel and Vivian would extend to Madison. With one giant move, Brian flipped the table in front of him and lurched forward to grab Madison. She threw herself at him, as if she had expected him to do something. He hugged her body to him and turned his back toward Mr. Isley just as the gun began to fire. At first his adrenaline kept him moving. Once again, he picked her up and surged past the man with the weapon. His heart pounded as his legs pumped hard to reach his truck. He cradled her body in the hopes of protecting her from the popping sounds he heard from behind him. Once in the truck, he jammed the keys in the ignition and stomped on the gas. All four tires squealed as they surged onto the road, cutting off the traffic that honked angrily at them.
Brian.
Madison whispered, "I'll get you to safety." He barked in response. His heart felt weird. It thumped a little slower than normal, which made him wonder why. After something like that, it should have been pumping faster. His vision began to gray out at the edges, which made driving a bit harder as he raced through the streets to her house. He was glad they weren't far from home. When his hands began to shake, he realized something was desperately wrong.
Oh, dear God, Brian.
Madison screamed. He felt somewhat detached from everything. He concentrated solely on driving. His one focus was to get her home alive. Everything else could wait. He glanced down at his shirt and saw 2 red stains which grew right before his eyes and knew then that he'd been shot. With his last ounce of strength, he turned the wheel of his truck onto her driveway and pressed his hand against the horn. He feared he'd wreck the truck if he lost consciousness, so he pressed on the brake.
Brian.
Madison screamed.